Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's 72-hour fast check-in. This is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I am currently 57 hours into this week's fast. And tonight we're stepping into something extraordinary. Not just blood sugar, not just ketones. We're talking about your brain's superpower, and that is neuroplasticity. If you've been struggling with habits that you don't stick to, thoughts that sabotage your progress, or patterns that feel too hard to break, this is the conversation for you. Fasting isn't just about helping you burn fat. It's literally rewiring your brain. And tonight, we're unlocking how that works. Hey, I'm talking to diabetics, type 2 diabetics who want to reverse their diabetes. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, that's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating that life that we've always wanted. That's right, we are living limitless lives. And limitless living says that we are presenting our best selves, our best health, and our best plans for our lives. We're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful in all areas of our health, but particularly as it comes to diabetes. We are talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, who want to get off of medications, who want to improve their metabolic health, and we are in that space right now. If you are new, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I am happy that you're here. If you do have questions, go ahead and drop those in the comments because we'd love to welcome you and answer those questions as we go throughout the show. I've got some things here that we're going to take a look at. I've got my meters that we're going to take a look at to see what my blood sugars have been doing. I've got my Dexcom Clarity report right down below, and we'll take a look at that as well as we move throughout the show. We'll say hi to our community members. We'll do a check-in, and man, we're just going to have a great time today in this episode as we talk through a very, very important subject, and that is neuroplasticity. This week, we've been talking about our intellectual health. Remember, we did our mini-series that we've been walking through on the domains of health, and we did the 8th domain this past Dwain Woode MD Live as we talked about our intellectual health. So not how smart you are. We're not talking about your IQ. We're talking about those things that you have done or those things that you are learning, those things that you're understanding, those things that you're making yourself connected with or availing yourself of the resources that are helping you in the space that you're in, right? That's what we're talking about. And you may be asking, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? We'll come to talk about that here in just a minute. If you have not been joining us for our walk to consistency, we have been doing our 100-day walk to consistency every morning at 6 a.m. Remember, as we're talking about health, one of the pinnacles of health is movement. Whatever you do, walking, rowing, swimming, jogging, yogaing, boxing, whatever it is, we want to make sure that you are doing something in terms of movement. And we've been walking through that process every morning, 6 a.m. It was a 100-day walk to consistency. Then we did a mini-series called The Bridge to Mastery as we've moved through the concepts and the behaviors and the scheduling and all the things we needed to do. We did a mini-series called The Bridge to Mastery, and that was the last 9 days. So we are on day number 7 today, number 8 is coming up tomorrow, and then 9 on Saturday morning. And then we start our new series, Strength, Strategy, and Mindset, as we continue to evolve. And how do we improve this body that we are working with? How do we improve our health? So make sure that you join us. You can go back and you can watch some of the episodes. They're all out there. We've broken them up into different weeks, and they are in those playlists. So you can get out there and you can watch them. You can pick a week and you can start walking through that. You can start at day 1. So several ways to do it. Start at day 1 and work your way through the entire series. You can start with the Bridge to Mastery and do that mini-series. There are nine episodes there. and then you can go back and walk through, or you can pick weeks, right? So here is the, let me pull that up really quickly. Let's do it this way. So there you see, that is 100-day walk to consistency. And in this playlist, there are going to eventually be 109 episodes in this playlist. But what we've done also is we've taken that playlist of 109 videos and we've broken it up. Let's see if I can pull that up. And we've broken it up into weeks so that you can get over there and you can look at the different weeks, find a place that you want to be, find something that you want to learn, and begin walking through that. Let's see, view all. Let's see. I'm trying to find a here it is, playlist. Okay, here we are. So we've broken them up into playlists for the different weeks, right? Week 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, right? So you can get over there, you can watch, you say, okay, this week I'm going to work on playlist number 1, and then go through the weeks. You can look at the mini-series, the Bridge to Mastery, and start there, and then go back and watch some of the things that we've talked about in that series. Now, why am I doing this? Why are we walking through this? Because there are some pillars that come with limitless living, that come with reversing diabetes, that come with improving your health, and we want to lay those out so that you have all the tools that are necessary to be healthy. Often, we don't succeed, not because we don't have drive, not because we don't have no motivation, not even because we don't have know-how. We don't succeed because we don't have structure. And the goal here is to provide the structure that you need to be ultimately successful and to continue moving in the space so that you are improving your health. Got it so far? All right. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. Let me get rid of some of these things on my screen. And let's go ahead and let's take a look at my numbers. First thing we want to look at, of course, is blood sugar. And you'll see there, that is what my Freestyle Libre says that my blood sugar is right now. And I'm looking at this squiggly line right about there. And you'll see that for most of the day, I've been at 100 or lower. And then dip down below, you see the little red dashed line near the end of that graph? Dip down below 70 for a little part of the day. And then, of course, back up above it. You'll see way down at the bottom, right around here. So that's telling me that I have 22 hours before I've got to change this monitor. And if you're not familiar with the Freestyle Libre app, we did an episode where we actually walked through this app along with the Dexcom, which we'll look at right now. And you see there, for the Dexcom, my blood sugar right now is 101. And let me go ahead and we can scroll through this and see. So we were 124, 110, 199, 101, 101. And then, look at this. We spiked up there. Not sure what was going on there. Probably that was when I started. Did we start? Is that when we started exercising? I was outside working out with my son. So actually, we'll come back and we'll talk about that actually in another episode. One of the things that sometimes will frustrate people is that when they do exercise, depending on what they're doing, then their blood sugars will spike up. Okay? So that's where we are right now. Let's go ahead and hop over to my meters. So I've got my Dexcom Clarity. Let's get this one out of here. I've got my Dexcom Clarity. Not Dexcom Clarity, I've got my Contour, and I have my Keto Mojo right here. And so let's grab out of our tray. Let's move this over a little bit. We're going to grab one of the blue ones, and this is, of course, ketones. And then one of the brown ones, that's the blood sugar. Get my Lancet. I think I only have one in there. Do I have another Lancet? Yeah, just only one. So hopefully this works. Right, so we got that over. And then we'll need a lancet for the contour. So let's go ahead and grab that. All right, let's see. Let's make sure that, here we are. All right, so we got that out. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this in here and then start opening up. So I'm gonna open both of these. This is the blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And then I'm gonna open the ketone as well and just have that off to the side. So we can put that in, and let's pull up let's do this one so we can see what that is. Here's my lancet, and so there's my little needle. And I'm gonna find a finger, and I'm gonna use the one that I've been using recently, which, ow, 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 ow. All right, there we are. And let's see if we got a good, did we get a good drop? Yep, we did. Look at that, brisk bleed. Got that out, and let's go ahead and put this, get this started. So if you think you know what my ketones are going to be, go ahead and drop that there as well. So blood sugar, 69 according to Keto Mojo, and 73 according to the contour. Let's get this out. That's the blood sugar. Let's get the ketone strip in there and get this started. All right, here we go. And we'll just kind of take a look at it together, see what that what that's showing. You remember, I think it was 1, if I remember correctly, I think it was 1.0 yesterday. So let's see what it is now. So 1.1, okay? So remember, ketones that are less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and of course above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. So right now I'm in the nutritional ketosis period, which is great because we want ketones to be between 0.5 or higher, because that tells us that we're in ketosis, we're burning fat, and we're converting that to energy. And of course, when we do that, and let's go ahead and look at one of these other parameters. This is the app that I use for managing my weight. And you'll see there 184.2 pounds. If I go back to the trend, and let's take a look. So this is weeks. And you see down there at the bottom, right? So 184, we were 185 just a day ago. Going back, we were 184.6 at some point. Where was that? When was that? 184. Actually, we're on 84.4 back here on the 10th, and then went up to 188. I think that, yeah, on the 13th, and then back down to 186, 186, and then of course where we are now at 184.2. Okay, so if I back up and look at the trend, you'll see the general trend has been downward. Actually, let's do this one. So the general trend has been downward with fluctuations in there. So one of the points I want to make for everyone is that as you're looking at weight, you will have fluctuations in the weight, but that does not mean that you're not heading in that direction. Because if I back up even further and I look at a year's view, right? So we're down here, but look at that, right? So that was, I don't know, when was that? Back in February, up at 200, right? So back in November, and if I go over the course of time, you'll see that even though we're here, we're down here, that we came from way up here, right? And so it has taken a while, right? So sometimes we are frustrated because we don't see that move going in the direction as quickly as we want. But remember, we're aiming for consistent improvement that is sustainable. So it is sometimes easy, relatively speaking, to begin losing weight, and sometimes we lose weight quickly. But the problem with that is that we don't learn the things that we need to know to keep that weight off. One of the issues that we have with and we say that we are finding with the medications that people are using for weight management, that is the GLP-1s, is that we put people on those medications, but we don't teach them the things that we are learning here in this community. We don't teach them what was it that, because the medication, what does it do? It suppresses the appetite, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. It suppresses the appetite. Well, what was causing the appetite to be stimulated in the first place? So that if you don't realize that, if you don't learn that, if you don't figure out what was causing it, God forbid something happens to the medication. You have a side effect. The medication, the pharmacy or the insurance company says, I'm no longer paying for that. Then if you've not learned, then the medication goes away, but you've never learned the tools that you needed to keep that weight off. So my point in saying all that was that the weight that we lose, we want the weight to be consistent over time. We tell people about a half a pound to a pound a week is what we recommend. And as you're doing that, you are learning what was it that was causing this weight in the first place? Where was this coming from? What are the things that are triggering me? And we've talked about the heat model and so forth. Okay. So anyway, so that is the weight, and we've been tracking that. So I wanted to make sure that we made a couple of points there as we move through the space. This app does not track where my highest weight was, which was above 285, 287 actually to be exact. Okay. So this just goes back I guess 3 years now. So anyway, so let's. I want you to know that is the case. You will get those benefits. You can get those benefits as you are moving through this space, as you're learning the tools that are required to maintain some of that. And those things that you see, the weight loss, the improvement in blood sugar, the improvement in cholesterol and blood pressure, and all of those metabolic diseases, those are simply side effects of the path that we are on. I want you to hear me. So they are just side effects of the things that we're doing. And the improvement that you're seeing is a side effect. And sometimes when we think side effect, we think bad, right? So this is a result. I guess let's use a different word. What you're seeing is a result of the path that we're on. And so the reason I show you this, the reason you're looking at my numbers, the reason we are in this space that we're in, which we'll talk about here in just a minute again, is because I want you to see in real time the things that are going on in my body and understand that can go on for your body as well. Okay? All right. So those are my numbers. Let's go ahead and let's do a check-in. When I come on, we do that because I want you to know how I'm feeling as I'm moving through this fasting space. And there are 3 main areas that I talk about when I do a check-in. And that is how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, because those are paramount as we are trying to improve. We want to make sure that we are doing all the things that we need to do to evaluate the space that we're in. Are we getting the benefits? So physically, feeling energetic and not feeling lightheaded, dizzy, sweaty. I've been doing a good job of resting this week. I've been doing a good job of hydration, and those are 2 of the key components of fasting. And we'll talk more about that when we do our fasting review tomorrow. So you see me with my mug, right? Maintaining hydration, and then mentally, I'm feeling clear. I'm feeling excited. I'm not feeling dull or foggy headed or any of those things. And then of course, this weekend here in town is homecoming for us and our alumni, as we call it. And so we've got some friends coming through, people coming in, people I have not seen in a while. So I'm excited for that. And having said that, by the way, I am supposed to be cooking. All right. I'm supposed to be cooking tonight. I may try to delay that until tomorrow, but we'll see how that schedule goes depending on what's going on, because we've got some stuff going on in the kitchen right now. So I have not learned yet how to cook successfully without tasting. And so one of the challenges, one of the real life challenges for a lot of people is, if you are the main cook at your house, you do all the cooking, and you are fasting, then that poses maybe some challenges in terms of continuing the fast while you're preparing meals for the family. Because if you're like me and you have to taste things as you make them, and not when I say taste, not just because you want to taste, but you want to make sure that it tastes good, right? Right seasonings, right combination, and so forth. Then that may be a slight challenge. But in that space, what I've said to folks and what I have done in the past is I have said, okay, in my 72-hour fast, and usually when I'm doing my 72-hour fast, the time that I'm cooking is either on a Thursday, right, which is like halfway through the fast, or two-thirds of the way through the fast, or it's usually Friday morning. So I have actually ended my fast early, and I've started it. Well, sorry, let me start with. I started it early, so I know that I needed to cook on Thursday, Friday. So I started it, instead of starting it on Tuesday, I started on Monday. So I just shifted it a day. The other thing that I've done in that space is I have started my fast like I normally do, broken the fast when I'm cooking, and then restarted the fast after, right? And so usually cooking, I mean, depending on how long, depending on what I'm cooking, a couple hours. And so I get into my fast, make sure that I'm going through that, doing all the things I need to do in the middle of the fast or wherever I am, whenever I'm cooking, broke the fast so that I can do what I need to do in the kitchen, and then restarted the fast at that point. Now, it turns out that it doesn't end up being a quote unquote a complete 72-hour fast. But if I start the fast on Tuesday into Wednesday and broke it on Thursday night, right? So that's usually at least 48 hours, right? That's because Tuesday night to Wednesday night, 1 day, Wednesday night to Thursday night, 2 days, right? 48 hours. And so broke the fast, did my cooking, tasted what I need to taste, eat what I needed to eat, taste, and then restarted that fast, and then completed another 24 hours. So there are lots of ways to do it. You've seen in the past when we've traveled in terms of fasting, I start the fast early. So if I know we're traveling on Friday, and usually Friday is when I break the fast, I will start my fast a day early and then complete my fast, because I know when we're traveling on Thursday or Friday or whenever it is, that things happen, right? And so I may not be able to, particularly if I have to do a show, may not be able to do that. So I pre-record that show or record that show. We show it here, and as I'm traveling, I still try to maintain a pretty good fasting schedule, but I am not confining myself during the time when I'm with the family, during the time when we're on vacation, during the time when I'm traveling. I don't constrain myself to the quote-unquote fasting schedule like I normally do. I still try to do a 1 meal a day. Like we were in London, we went to Paris. I did, as a matter of fact, I started my fast. Yeah, I actually in London, in Paris actually. I started the fast like I normally do. So we went there, we were there for a few days, ate my 1 meal a day, started the fast on my regular time. And I think I went maybe 36 hours, and then we went to a restaurant that I really wanted to go to. So I broke the fast at 36 hours, ate, and then restarted my 1 meal a day. So lots of things. And my point in saying going through all of this is, as you're doing the fasting, you want to make sure that the fasting is fitting into your life and you're getting the benefit you want. Otherwise, you're going to break the fast. You're going to forget the fast. You're going to say, this doesn't work for me. And it's not that it doesn't work, but we've tried sometimes to confine that process in such a stringent way that our brain revolts, because we are built for socialization. So if you're sitting at a table and everybody's eating, everybody's doing whatever they're doing, and you've decided that that's when you're going to fast, there's some friction right there. So if you know that you're going to an event tomorrow and you normally fast tomorrow, then do one of two things. Start the fast the day before. That way you end the fast prior to the event, or go through the event and then start the fast the day after. So shift it around so that it suits you and suits what you're doing. All right, so that's a little bit longer than I normally do for that, but I just wanted to make sure that we made that point. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at my monitor, and so we'll do that, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about our episode. We'll talk about our content today, and then we'll go from there. All right, so let's hop over, and I do want you. We didn't get the chance to go through this in depth, and we'll go through it again as we continue to do our fasting review. Let me move over a little bit here. And so what you're seeing now is my Dexcom Clarity Report, which gives me an average, let's start there, an average of 100, and this is for 14 days, that's my average. My glucose management indicator is 5.7, so if I were to get an A1C right now, based on these blood sugars, that's what my A1C would approximate. So I can't call it an A1C because it's a calculated number. You'll see here I'm in target 94% of the time, with a target being anywhere from, let's get rid of that, 70 to 180. Okay? If we look at my blood sugars over the course of the last several days, you'll see here as I scroll back through, we've been in the 90s, as I mentioned, most of today. Right here, you'll see a spike up, and that is that's the toothpaste effect that you guys see pretty much every morning, most mornings, if we look at my blood sugar. And then it goes up, and look at how high it went to 130, I think 131, and then it starts coming back down. Okay. If I look to yesterday, as we saw, blood sugars in the morning were below 70. I had to change my monitor here, so that's why you see that gap. And then picked up again, and blood sugars in the 80s, 90s, 70s. I think the highest it got that day was, 104 maybe? Yeah, so the highest was 104. If I go back the day before that, you'll see we kind of been running in the 70s, 80s. Highest was, I think, 119 that day. Now, all of these days, right? So let's go here. So these days were not fasting days, by the way. And so let me see. Let's see. So I do a 72-hour fast, right? So here's Tuesday before I start the fast. I started the fast right about here. So prior to Tuesday, or prior to the starting of the fast, look at that. We're running in the hundreds, in the low 100s. And the reason I make that point is when you fast, the days surrounding your fasting regimen, those days can be incredible when it comes to blood sugar, because you are more insulin sensitive as you get through the fast, as you're moving through the fast. Awesome. So let's go ahead and have our conversation. And we're going to set that up here and so that we can get into it, so that you understand what it is that we are doing and why we're doing what we're doing. And we're talking about 57 hours, right? What happens at 57 hours, and what is of benefit here? What can you do? What should you do? What are some of the improvements that you see? Because we talk about so many other things, but let's go ahead and let's get into that right now. All right, so 57 hours of fasting, and we're talking about rewiring your brain. So this past week we talked about our last domain of health, that is intellectual health. But even before that, let's lay some groundwork. We are talking about improving our metabolism. Dysfunctional metabolism is at the core of our chronic diseases. And when we say chronic diseases, those lifestyle diseases that we're always talking about: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, obesity, metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, and then all the ultimate of that spectrum is actually diabetes. So one of the things to understand is that all of these are along the spectrum, and diabetes is simply an extreme form of the things that are happening along that course. Sometimes when we talk about diabetes and talk about high blood pressure and talk about cholesterol, we talk about them as though they are separate, disjointed things that are unrelated, but they are not unrelated. They all actually have an integral connection with each other, and they all have a common denominator. And the common denominator that we've talked about is insulin. That's the common denominator. And so when we're fasting, as we're doing now, fasting is a way of hitting the three pillars of reversing diabetes. That is, we decrease insulin, which is the culprit. We suppress the appetite, which is what drives the sugar, right? So decrease insulin, suppress appetite, reduce sugar. So decreasing the insulin is the culprit. Sugar is the vehicle that comes and stimulates the insulin, and the appetite is what is pushing us in the direction of eating. So what we're doing in this space is we are hitting all of those parameters so that we can reverse diabetes. So at 57 hours, what's happening in my body, right? And we've talked about this. If you've not seen one of our episodes where we do a complete breakdown, you go back and watch that. But we'll be doing that actually tomorrow as we do our review. But three things are going on. Three main things, right? There are lots of other things, but these are the three that I want you to pay attention to. Number one, insulin is being suppressed. So as I'm fasting, I'm in this space, I am not eating anything. And now at 57 hours, my blood sugars have gone down to the point where my body does not have to produce insulin to combat what is there. Now, I still will get, and you saw in my blood sugar, still get some spikes in blood sugar. That's because as the body is breaking fat down, it still has the ability to create sugar from those triglycerides, right? Triglycerides, it takes off the tri part, that's the fatty acids, and then the glycerol that's left, it can still cause blood sugars or still create blood sugar. So that's the glycerol part. So at 52 hours, my insulin, right, is going down. Low insulin territory is where I am. I'm not getting any spikes. I'm not getting any rises. It should be just, right, except for the toothpaste that you saw. It should just be riding along. That's why I love when I see that blood sugar going along 70, it dips below 70 and it comes back up. And people will say to me, well, why did it come back up? Well, it came back up because when the blood sugar when the glycogen is gone, the body turns to fat. It's breaking down the fat. And every time it's breaking down the fat, the glycerol part that comes off can be converted into sugar. So when I see ketones that are higher than 0.5, when I see blood sugars that are kind of stable and fluctuating around 70 into the hundreds, I'm excited because that means in order for the body to have created that blood sugar that went above 70 again, it had to get that from fat. Right? So we're not getting those spikes. So because of the insulin suppression, this opens the door for insulin sensitivity. So your body becomes better at using the insulin it already produces. So that when you do see some of those spikes, the amount of insulin that the body has to make to combat that is very minimal. So remember, insulin is not bad because insulin is designed in the body to do what it does. It is the excess insulin that causes the issue. So when we talk about people who are insulin resistant, if I were to check the amount of insulin that an insulin resistant person is making, that is either pre-diabetes, insulin resistance, someone who has diabetes even, right? The amount of insulin that their body makes is actually above what a normal person makes because your body is trying its best to make enough to get that blood sugar down. And it is that excess insulin, the above normal, that causes the problem. So why does this matter? Why does this matter? So better insulin sensitivity equals lower A1Cs, equal fewer medications, and fewer long-term issues down the road. And it means reversal of dysfunctional metabolism. Right? So the first thing that's happening. Fat adaptation. So your body is now fully transitioned. We're talking about 57 hours now. Fully transitioned to fat for fuel. That's where I am, 57 hours. But even if you are in the extended fast, so 24 hours, 28 hours, 36 hours, even if you're doing longer fast, somebody I was talking in the office today said they're doing, or their goal is to do like a 100-hour fast. Whole nother conversation, right? But your body is now fully transitioned to burning fat. This is why you may feel less hungry than you did at 20 hours or 30 hours or 35 hours. Why? Because the source of energy that your body is using is pure, well, not pure, but constant, and it's a cleaner source. You don't get those fluctuations. You don't get those spikes anymore. And when the body burns that, it creates ketones, which is going to be one of the keys for our discussion. Ketones, especially the one that we're interested in, is something called beta hydroxybutyrate, BHB. Because beta hydroxybutyrate has a direct influence on what we're going to talk about, on our intellect. Why does it matter? So this is the energy that drives clarity. Your brain loves beta hydroxybutyrate. Beta hydroxybutyrate reduces inflammation. It enhances focus, and it even promotes something called brain-derived natriuretic peptide or factor, which is amazing. And then the third thing that's happening here at this point is autophagy deepens. So you're now moved beyond starting autophagy, right? So we're not starting autophagy anymore. Autophagy has already started, and we're well into the cleanup process that goes on with our body. We're well into what the body does as it is repairing, as it is getting all of those damaged, broken cells and creating, recycling, making the body work better. So you've moved beyond the starting point, and this is actually going. Your body is recycling damaged cells, misfolded proteins, cellular debris, unwanted, unused, dysfunctional cells. All of those are being cleaned up during this process. And especially powerful for people at risk for fatty liver, early kidney disease, right? Early kidney stress or other inflammatory process. This right here is you should be saying, okay, yeah, I want that to happen. So the fasted brain is a flexible brain. So at 57 hours, so I am deep into the fast, right? So my ketones are up, as you saw, insulin is down, and there is something amazing that's happening right now. My brain is now running on ketone fuel. And that one that I talked about, beta hydroxybutyrate and BHB or BDNF, right? So let's pause there. Let's talk a little bit. So brain-derived natriuretic factor. This is like miracle grow for your neurons. It encourages new connections. It repairs damaged pathways. It makes learning and behavior change easy. Oh, come on. I want you to listen. Let me repeat that. It makes learning and behavioral change easy. This is why people say that they have better mentation, they have more clarity during fasting. This is why sometimes your best ideas seem to pop up into your head on day 1, day 2, 36 hours into the fast. And this is where your brain becomes more plastic, neuroplasticity, meaning more capable of change, more capable of making connections, more capable of being excited and seeing new features, new connections, new pathways, new ideas that you could not see before. If you're struggling with something, start fasting. And then look at it again. So we start rewiring new patterns through fasting. So fasting gives your brain space to let go of the old loops that we've formed and create new loops. So think about it. When we're not constantly digesting something, when we're not snacking, when we're not distracted by food, our brain can redirect energy that it's using in that space towards rewiring old habits. The default that we are in, I'm stressed, let me eat. That pattern, yeah, that goes away. And then we say, well, I've already blown it today. Might as well keep eating. And then that spiral happens and we feel bad because we ate it and we ate more to, right? And we kind of go down that rabbit hole. This evening, this autopilot that sometimes we get into, at 57 hours, guess what? It's not there. Now, I keep saying 57 hours because that's where I am, but I want you to understand the benefits that come in other forms of fasting as well. Those aren't just behaviors that we were talking about, that eating pattern that you were in. They are neural pathways. Sometimes I'm talking to people in the office, and one of the points I make to them is that they always say, or we always say, right? You may say that. I sometimes will say that, is I couldn't help it if I was strong enough, right? So I don't say that to myself anymore, by the way. If I was strong enough, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have eaten it. I wouldn't have gone there. My blood sugars wouldn't be high. I'm going to say something to you that I want you to get, and I want you to listen to me. When you are in that trigger, when you have allowed the emotions to get so strong, when you've not learned what it is that is a trigger for you, when you don't understand how the connections are made, it is going to be nigh impossible to not fall into the pathway that says, I'm stressed, I'm going to eat. I'm bored, I'm going to eat. I'm worried, I'm going to eat. I'm angry, I'm going to eat. So the changes that happen require understanding, intellect, right? We're talking about intellectual domain. And it is much more possible during fasting. So fasting creates a disruption. It creates almost a sacred interruption, if you will, that lets you install a new pattern. That could be mindfulness, or breathing, going for a walk, or simply saying, no, not this time. And when your body is in a deep fasting state like this, you're literally supporting your brain's ability to change. Right? When you're fasting, neuroplasticity. Now, let me tell you neuroplasticity. Let's go kind of a definition. So neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to make new connections. It is the learning mechanism of the brain. It is how you're able to do something new and remember that you can do that thing. Neuroplasticity. So let's return to the brain for a minute. So at 52 hours, BDNF is elevated, right? So that's that other hormone. That means your brain is more capable of forming new habits because now the hormone or that substance that's there is higher. So during this process, we have the ability to make new connections, new habits. And when we're doing that, we're actually breaking old ones. We are getting new thought processes. This is a strategic window. I want you to, this one right here is good. This is a great time to insert a new idea, a new routine, or a new discipline into your life. So if you've been struggling with something, struggling with a behavior, struggling with a thought process, struggling with something that you need to do, want to do, should do, knew you have to do, start fasting. and put that behavior in the fast. Start learning that thing during the fast. Because your brain is geared at that point. Your brain is supported at that point. The beta hydroxybutyrate is giving energy to the brain during this time to be able to do those things that you say you want to do, that you couldn't do at any other time, but during fasting it becomes simpler. So if you want to build a new rhythm, if you want to break a limiting belief, this is the window. This is the time. This is a perfect opportunity to do that. And then there are a couple of other things. So resilience, recovery, and reprogramming. Resilience, recovery, and reprogramming, the 3 R's. This is where it gets really, really fun and interesting, right? And a lot more exciting. When those hormones, when those substances, BDNF, beta hydroxybutyrate, when they're elevated, your brain doesn't just form new habits. It forms resilient habits. Remember, resilience is, I kind of describe that as the ability to bounce back. When I was a kid, one of the things that I used to like was you would go to the store and they had this blow up doll, right? Usually it's a clown. I'm not sure why it was always a clown. And and it had some either water or sand at the bottom, right? So blow up, sun, and so you hit it, bam, and it would go down, ooh, boof, and it comes back up, and you hit it again, bam, and it go down, ooh, and it comes back up, poof, and you hit it again, right? So it didn't matter how many times you knocked it down. Guess what? It bounced right back. And so that bouncy back ability, you like that word, bouncy back? That ability is what is called resilience. Your ability to do that is called resilience. So you bounce back faster from setbacks. You recover quicker from slip-ups. You become less emotionally reactive and more strategically responsive during the fast. When you're able to make those connections, when you're able to develop that resilience. Fasting at this stage builds mental muscles, not just from willpower. So it's not just I'm white knuckling it, but from a physiologic change that's happening. You're laying down new pathways, new highways in your brain, not just repaving the old one. You're actually literally making new pathways. That's that neuroplasticity, new connections. The neurons are firing. The neurons are becoming faster. The myelin sheets that cover the neurons, that make them more automatic, are being developed. You want to become someone who doesn't binge when you're overwhelmed? Someone who doesn't rely on food to soothe? Someone who can stay calm in chaos? This is the work. And this is the moment when that happens. This is the moment when you can implement that. So you want to use these windows, right? As we're fasting, we're talking about, like I said, we do a 72-hour fast once a week. You may be doing a 24-hour, 36 hours, 48-hour, whatever it is. Use this window to train your brain, to begin looking at those places where you need to make a change. The things that you've got to do, the things that you want to do, the things that you know to do that continue to be an issue for you, try it during fasting. And so the challenge is, during fasting, is to begin noticing what's going on as you're fasting. What are some of those patterns that you see? What's been coming up while you're fasting? During the fast, you have noticed some things already if you've been fasting. What are those things that continually plague your brain, plague your mind? When you're not fasting, what are the places that you have challenges? Try to address some of those while you're fasting. Name a habit loop that you want to rewire, right? So we've got those loops. So something happens, it gives some effect. That effect actually fuels a benefit for us, and then we want to do that again because it continually feeds that. Now, when we talk about loops, there are positive loops. That is, you do something, you get a benefit, you get a positive benefit, and so you do it again because it continues to work. There's also a negative loop. That is, for example, you do something, and food sometimes can be like this, because either the food that we eat gives us a good feeling, and we get that dopamine, and then we go eat again because we want to continue it. Or the food that we eat helps us to avoid the negative thing that we saw coming. So we basically numb ourselves to the effect of whatever is happening. So one of those two things happens, and you are constantly reinforcing one of those. Either you're reinforcing the positive or you're reinforcing the negative. And our desire, our goal is to break that pattern and put a different mechanism, put a different process, a different loop there, so that we are becoming successful. So we're not using the binging. One of the things that you want to do also, and we've talked about the COPE model. Let's go ahead and put that up. Clarify, observe, pause, and execute. Clarify, observe, pause, and execute. That pause that's there, you want to practice that. When the old loops come up, when they put their head up, you want to insert a new action, which means that you have to be learning those actions and those tools that we're talking about. Come on, right? See how this all comes together? The tools that we're learning, we're simply learning some tools to put in your toolbox, right? Like right now, if I go out in the garage, I've got a couple of toolboxes, by the way, boxes, right? So lots of different tools in there. So I went out and I bought a toolbox that has, a variety of things. It's got a screwdriver, it's got a hammer, it got, a star screwdriver, it's got a flathead, it's got some clamps. Anyway, it's a bunch of things. And so all of those tools are in there. I may not need it right now. I can't tell you the last time I used a chisel. But guess what? There's a chisel in there. So if I need it, boom, there it is. And so as you are building your toolbox, your limitless living toolbox, breathe, deep breathing, walking, the COPE model, the HEAT model, our fasting. We'll be introducing our limitless living health action plan coming up in the next couple of weeks. All of those are tools that you are learning so that when you are doing the COPE model, when you're clarifying, what is it that's really driving me? What is it that I know I'm not hungry, but what is it that's causing me now to go down this path? When I observe, figure out where am I feeling that? Am I hangry? Am I sad? Am I depressed? Am I whatever it is? I'm observing what that is. And then I pause. That pause allows me to stick my hand in the bag. Allow my prefrontal cortex to take over the amygdala and make an intelligent decision. And then I execute one of the tools. But if your toolbox is empty, even though you go through the process of clarifying, observing, and pausing, you don't have anything to grab. Because you've not practiced how to breathe. You've not practiced mindfulness. You've not practiced fasting. You've not practiced understanding the HEAT model. And a great time to do all of that is when you're fasting. Because remember, our intellectual health is not about you being smart. It's not about you being intelligent. It's about what have you done to understand the universe around your metabolism so that you can navigate within that universe successfully. Because the real goal isn't just fasting. Right? You thought we were fasting just to fast. Fasting is not the goal. Fasting is something that we do. It is a tool that gets us down to the place where we want to be. And transformation doesn't just happen from the outside. It happens from the inside. And the thing that drives the inside is right here. When I'm tempted to go grab something to eat, it is not that my body is hungry. It is that something went on in the brain. It is that the brain saw something. The brain gave some meaning to something that happened, some conversation, some situation, some stress, some anxiety, right? Some behavior. My brain gave meaning to that. And because that meaning came, then my behavior now is responding to that. So tonight I want you to know, you're not stuck. You are not broken. Your brain has the ability to rewire. You are being rewired right now in our space. That's why we educate, because we're rewiring. This is the fasted mind in action, y'all. This is what it means to fast stronger. This is what it means to be doing everything that you possibly can do to be successful. Because limitless living says I have to learn it. I've got to figure it out. I'm not allowing anything to prevent me from doing what I need to do. I'm going there. And I need to do everything I can to be in that space. And a great time to begin learning is when you're fasting. So we're talking about rewiring your brain at 52 hours. Fasting, focus, and neuroplasticity. An amazing space to be in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. All right, so one of my, and you guys will hear me say this a lot because I get so excited. I get so excited about all of this because it really drives what we do. My concept of how to manage metabolic disease continues to evolve. But so much from the way I was taught in medical school, the way I practiced in my practice, the way I even treated my own diseases. When I say treated, the way it was treated, right? With my help. Because, think about it. Right now on the planet, there are over 1 billion, that's billion with a B, people who have prediabetes or diabetes. And the number continues to grow. So the things that we're doing, the way we are managing those diseases, is not giving us the dent that we thought. And not only prediabetes and diabetes, we haven't even talked about the people who've had heart attacks. Most common cause of heart disease is diabetes. People who have had strokes, come on. Peripheral artery disease, people who have fatty liver, the people who have metabolic syndrome. And remember, metabolic syndrome is your waist size, right? So how much weight you have on. It is your elevated blood pressure, blood sugar. It is dysfunctional blood sugars. So put all those things together. That's what we call metabolic syndrome. But each of those things are spectrums. They're spectrum diseases. And so what we've been doing is not working. And so the goal is to set you up on a path that will send you in a direction where you get to make choices for yourself to be successful in your health. And here's the beauty about this. You want to hear? Come here. Limitless living doesn't just work for health. Limitless living doesn't just work for health. We are here in this space talking about our health, talking about diabetes, but limitless living works for every area of your life. And so everything that we do is with the intention. And I want you to understand that we educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, the blogs, the podcasts. We empower with the tools that we learn, and those tools are there. Come on, join us. We empower and we encourage with the community that you are part of, the community that you are an amazing part of, by the way. We're glad that you are here. Glad that you joined us. We're going to be here again tomorrow as we do our complete check-in, complete review, that is, of fasting. We will be in the space, and we'll break the fast tomorrow, unless, by the way, unless I got to do something over here in the kitchen. We'll see. I've not absolutely ruled it out yet, but depends on what's going on there right now. But we will do our review of fasting tomorrow. Saturday night, we'll be here in the space with our video from the vault. And then on Sunday, 6 a.m. Central, we'll be doing video this week in review. Video from the vault on Saturday, this week review on Sunday. And then we'll be right back here with Dwain Woode MD Live on Monday as we kick off our new week. So make sure that you join us for all of that. I do want to go over and say hello to some of our community members who I do see out there. And let's go back up here. Let's see. And so Julian is out there, and she says, "Hi, doctor, and hi, Limitless Living gang." Let's see. Let's do this one. So hi, Limitless Living gang. Steve saying hi, Gian. Hi, Steve. Fasted brain, which I really want to have someday. Fasted brain. It is fasting beauty that all the benefits from fasting is just do not eat. So simple, but it's hard. Yeah, it can be very difficult. Bouncy back. That's right. That's my new word. Hey, so if I hear people start using that, that's mine. Okay, bouncy back. Bouncy back. Jion says, more I learn about fasting. I just want to build a fasting loop someday. Yes. Limitless Living gang is the way I live, I learn about. I love it. So Jion. Chickpeas salad. Interesting. So interesting. So did I ask you guys yet? What do you want me to break the fast with tomorrow? All right, quickly drop that in the chat. That I like that idea of the chickpea salad. I might need to do that. I'm trying to think. Do we have? I guess I could boil some tonight. Jennifer says, "Howdy all." Hey Jennifer, how are you? Thank you for coming through. Thank you for hanging out with us. So if you go ahead and drop in the chat really quickly. What do you want me to break the fast with tomorrow? Of course, I've got my standard salad, which is there, which we've done. Last week we did the nuts, salad and nuts. The week before we did chicken. Tonight or tomorrow, I'm actually going to be making chicken. So I may end up using that for breaking the fast. But if you got something that you want me to try tomorrow, I think I may end up just doing some of the things that's being cooked right now, if it's appropriate, right? Because we're making some other carb things for people that are coming over. So we'll see. But anyway, so I'm always excited to be here in this space with you. As you saw, my ketones were 1.1. Blood sugar right now, and let's back over there. Blood sugar right now is 76, 75 based on that. And my Dexcom says 101. And then of course we looked at my weight, which right now is down to 184.2. On this graph or on this app, I mentioned that one of the things I do is I track not just my weight. In fact, often I don't look at my weight. I weigh myself every day. And when I say I don't look at it, I know what it is. I see it on the scale. I see it in the app. But I'm actually looking at all these other parameters. I'm looking at my BMI. I'm looking at my body fat. I'm looking at my fat-free body weight. I'm looking at my visceral fat. Right? And the visceral fat is the fat that's around the organs in the body. So sometimes we can't see fat here, but around the heart, there's a layer of fat. Around the liver, there's a layer of fat. Around the kidneys, there's a layer of fat. And that fat that's around the organs can be very detrimental to the body, to our metabolism. Okay, so sometimes we think, okay, this is all that we've got to pay attention to. But as you lose weight, in fact, for a lot of people, when you lose the first 5 pounds, you can't really see anything on the outside. You know where you've lost that? Those 10 pounds, 5 pounds, you've lost them around the organs. So when you step on that scale, even if you're not seeing something from the outside and that scale is lower, know that you've just actually done something to improve your metabolism because you've addressed the visceral fat. So when you're looking at things like this, and I recommend the Fit Index, that's what this is called, the Fit Index app, it goes along with the scale and it will send a signal through your body, right? And an impedance signal, I think is what it's called. And it will collect all of this data. And then I start looking at this data and say, okay, how do I get this? It usually starts in the red because a lot of these were red for me when I first started. And as I have worked to improve my blood sugar, improve my weight, as I've walked down the limitless living pathway, these numbers began to change. And now you'll see there that most of them are blue, green. The weight, of course, is still amber. But if I go there, notice it started out in the red, right? You see that line? It started out in the red, so now it's in the amber. My BMI, when I did that, it started out in the red, right? So one of the games that you can play with yourself is to see how you can get all of these, and that's my goal, get all of these out of the red and the amber into the green or blue. Okay, here's my body fat. That started out in the red. Right, so as I'm moving through each of these spaces, my goal is to move it into a space where it's out of the red, it's into the green, into the blue, as I move to get healthier. And that's why I love this app. If you've not done that, Fit Index is what it's called. I've got no affiliation with them, but it really does give us the things we need. And as we move into our next series, great place to talk about that. So we just finished our 100-day walk to consistency series. We did the mini series, the bridge to mastery, and we're starting our new series coming up in the new week. We're starting the strength, strategy, and mindset. Strength, strategy, and mindset. So go ahead and join us. If you've been following us in the morning, on Sunday morning, you'll see that new video coming out, and that's going to be the new series that we do as we move through the next phase. One of the pillars of limitless living, one of the pillars of reversing diabetes, right, is that decreasing the insulin. And a great way to do that is, first of all, fasting, and then also movement. You have got to move, because when you move, it helps the body become more sensitized to insulin, right? So you got to make sure that you're moving. All right. So Jennifer says, I love that, Jennifer. She says, instead of being in the red, you now wear red shirt. Yes, I gotta wear my red shirt. And you'll see limitless living, part of it is red also, right? So there you go. All right, well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you for being in this space. I'm just always so excited to be with you and to be walking this path with you. Remember, we are living limitless lives. And limitless living says that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. We're breaking free from the shackles. We're breaking free from those obstacles. We're breaking free from the confinement, and we're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our lives. Go, live limitlessly, Make sure you're fasting. Make sure you're moving. Make sure you're doing balanced bites, all the things that we learned about. And we will see you tomorrow as we do our check-in, our review of fasting. And then we'll see you over the course of the weekend on Saturday for Video from the Vault, Sunday morning, 6 a.m. for This Week in Review. And then back here on Monday at 7 p.m. Central for Dwain Woode MD Live as we continue walking down the path. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.